Welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are doing well today. And to all my new supporters joining us for the first time, welcome to the family. Now today I will be taking a look at a video that has been highly recommended for some time now, and we are finally reacting to it. Today I will be reacting to how Medicare-For-All works in Australia. Let's jump right into it, man.
The 2020 Democratic primaries are in full swing as the candidates argue over the best way to approach policy. One of the biggest policy divides: the role of private health insurance.
We have got to pass a Medicare-For-All single-payer system.
Private insurance is not working for tens of millions of Americans.
The quickest, fastest way to do it is build on Obamacare.
Many countries around the world provide government-funded
We don't even
universal
have that
healthcare
anymore.
while offering secondary.
I'm sorry to talk over the video. We don't even have Obama healthcare anymore. They should just start taking it out of our taxes, man. Please. There's no such thing as free healthcare, but I hear about all these other countries having free healthcare. It's just taken out of the taxes. Why can't we do that? My goodness. Like, it's so annoying. I don't want to go on a rant, but the healthcare system in the United States sucks. It's horrible.
Many countries around the world provide government-funded universal healthcare while offering secondary private insurance. One country that's frequently overlooked: Australia. So how well does Australia's system work compared to U.S. healthcare?
Cost and outcomes.
In 2017, Australia is estimated to have spent 9.2% of its GDP on healthcare, while the US spent nearly twice that at 17.1%. In other words, Australia spends about $5,000 USD per person, while the US spends over $10,000. Despite spending about half the money, Australia has better or comparable health outcomes to the US. The average life expectancy in Australia is 4 years higher than the US, and Australia's infant mortality rate is lower. Additionally, the maternal mortality rate in America is nearly 5 times higher than in Australia. Australia's healthcare system is sustained by a publicly funded universal health insurance network called Medicare. Australians can also purchase private health insurance to cover hospital treatments or services that Medicare doesn't cover, such as dental or vision. But private insurance in Australia isn't meant to replace Medicare.
I think it's a bit of a given that if you make above a certain amount, you just have to kind of hold your nose and buy in.
That's Dr. Elizabeth Bates. She's an American who now lives and works in Tasmania, Australia. She did her medical training in both countries. For full disclosure, Dr. Bates' husband worked with the Australian government to help digitize citizens' health records.
I hear more from people that are going through the public system a bit of, well, even if I'm not a private patient, ... So there's always that fear, I think, that people won't be treated as well, which I don't think really plays out.
Most Australians with private insurance receive a government rebate to help cover their monthly premiums. Also, if Australians purchase hospital coverage before age 31, they avoid an extra charge on private insurance premiums for the rest of their lives. Under Australian Medicare, doctors can set their own prices. However, many follow the Australian Medical Association's list of suggested fees.
Okay.
If a doctor charges more than the Medicare standard fee, the patient is responsible for the difference. These out-of-pocket costs are known as a medical gap, similar to a copay in the US. So how does this healthcare scheme stack up against the US when it comes to the chronically ill patients who use the system the most? Crescenda Keith, an American citizen, and Kirsty Wilkinson in Australia both live with a rare condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is also known by its initials EDS. The symptoms can vary in severity depending on the individual, making it difficult to characterize.
It's a continuum. Some people have it to where it doesn't affect their day-to-day life, and some people I know are completely bedridden.
Crescenda has changed insurance statuses several times over the years, going from private insurance that offered comprehensive coverage to no insurance to the government-funded system for low-income Americans called Medicaid.
Going through with the private insurance, it was incredibly easy to get something as simple as a geneticist to diagnose me as opposed to a primary care doctor and a rheumatologist, which was amazing. And it actually, because I had racked up so many bills trying to figure out what was going on, that the geneticist, I had no copay, no nothing.
Nice.
But Crescenda ended up going from having private insurance to having none at all.
To go from that to having nothing is shocking. I did better waiting until I was so sick that they had to admit me to the hospital and seeing the specialists in there and just racking up those bills, which the the hospital ends up writing off anyway.
After a few years of being uninsured, Crescenda was able to get on Medicaid after a long process with a lot of bureaucratic hiccups.
Finally, recently I was approved for Medicaid, which I thought was going to be the best thing ever. That opens the door to a primary care and opens the door to specialists. The specialists are not even in the area. You give me an hour drive to get to a doctor.
Yeah, I forgot how enormous Australia is. Oh my goodness. Imagine having to drive an hour or two to see your closest doctor, especially when not feeling well. I mean, that's unfortunate. That's inconvenient. I mean,
in the area. You give me an hour drive to get to a doctor, that's absolutely inaccessible. And at this point, you're kind of like, well, I wish I just had no insurance, because that little aspect of hope is sometimes worse than accepting the fact that you have no hope. We're looking into filing bankruptcy because a lot of the medical bills, even though I was low income, for some reason, they still went to collection, even though I contacted people. Even some of the medical bills from when I had good insurance, where I was supposed to have no copay, are now in collections because I didn't know about them and I was moving.
By comparison, Kirsty's insurance coverage has been more consistent over her lifetime. She chose to buy private insurance to help cover her expenses. She thinks that investing in private insurance in Australia is worth the extra cost for convenience and peace of mind.
yes,
For me,
of
while
course.
I'm in private, is you get choice of doctors. Choose when you have treatment, which is a big plus, because in the public system, you can be waiting months. If I didn't have private cover,
Years.
I think I'd be up for a lot more. Because what some people say is that you should just put the money aside, but the thing is, you don't know what's around the corner.
I'm a huge fan of universal healthcare coverage, but nothing in this world is perfect. If somebody's got an acute problem here, they can get in very quickly, but if it's just sort of a just-in-case safety check, there's a very long wait through the public system, and that makes me nervous because we know the reason we do universal screening is somebody out there's going to have a cancer sitting there quietly, and I would really like them to find that out before it causes a problem and spreads.
Kirsty finds that while her costs may vary depending on her physician and treatment, some of her doctors take into consideration that she's a long-term patient on government disability.
Because I'm on the disability support pension, and the hospital I go to, generally, they actually bulk bill. And the clinic I go to for my MRIs on my knee, for example, they actually bulk bill because I'm referred by a specialist. It really depends on, I think, your doctors in terms of how much they charge you. I mean, there are doctors out there who charge a lot more than others.
Americans and Australians tend to have many...
That's so new hearing that. The doctors have the choice. They have the power to charge you what they feel. Now, I'm sure all doctors are being fair because they are still receiving, money due to their careers. They're not just making all their money off of seeing these patients, but that's something new. I've never heard about that.
More than others.
Americans and Australians tend to have many of the same opinions surrounding the effectiveness of their healthcare systems. Around 45% of people in both countries are concerned that their medical costs will increase over the next decade. There are some differences, though. While both Australians and Americans rank the cost of accessing treatment among the top 3 problems facing their country's healthcare system, only 38% of Australians felt that way, as opposed to 64% of Americans. Australians were evenly split on the biggest issue between cost, staff shortages, wait times, and an aging population.
Oh, yeah, don't get me started on all of that stuff because, as what I like to say is there's no such thing as full coverage over here in the United States of America. How do I know that? Because I'm fully covered. And it doesn't matter what your occupation is, what company you are with, what health care you have. It doesn't matter. They all pretty much work the same. Most people are in debt because they are struggling financially, paying off their debts from surgeries, hospital visits, medications, chemotherapy. It's a lot. It's a lot, guys. And especially people who are fighting for their lives, like going through chemo and everything. That stuff adds up. Out here in America, it takes a sick patient to make some money. Keep making money. And that's how they work. Wait times are horrible. For goodness sake, my arm could be off my whole body right now. And they'll still probably make me wait if I did not decide to take an ambulance and pay the extra fee. Now you have to wait in the hospital. That's so unfair. The copay doesn't make sense. I'm just giving you guys a quick rundown. I don't want to be ranting too much, but the copay is like, what's up with the copay? They come and talk about, you know, you don't owe anything, just come in and see us. But after my appointment, I see a copay fee on there. You charge me for that. Why am I paying $50 copay when I came here for a free appointment? Why I came here for a doctor's checkup? That's another thing in the U.S. So we don't go and get yearly or should I say annually checkups. No one does that no more. What's the point? You're going to make me pay. I'm not even fully covered. I'm coming in for no reason because there's nothing wrong with me. Like, what are you checking? What are you checking? If you want to check if there's something wrong with you, then you need to go to the hospital for those specific things you feel may be wrong with you. Not just go to a private healthcare for a little checkup. You're going to just pay, copay, and it's never the same price. It's annoying, guys. It's so unfair out here. I know so many people struggling. They're in debt because it's nothing but healthcare expenses. I'm like, oh my goodness. The United States does not care at all. It's truly amazing, like, how much they truly do not care. They care more about bringing in more sick patients to generate more money rather than actually curing the people. You just want the money. And don't get me started, guys. I'm sorry to be talking so much.
As opposed to 64% of Americans. Australians were evenly split on the biggest issue between cost, staff shortages, wait times, and an aging population. A big difference between the countries is that only 4% of Australians feel that their country's healthcare system needs to be completely rebuilt, while about 23% of Americans feel that way. Crescenda and Kirsty's experiences show that both the American and Australian systems have their problems. But the Australian system does offer more consistency thanks to basic universal coverage.
I think, we're really lucky to have the system we have in Australia. I think Medicare does make it, even though you might only get half back or whatever when you're seeing doctors, at least you get something back.
That's right. That's very right. Wow. I mean, even our veterans, guys, we have hospitals specifically designated for our veterans, currently enlisted or our veterans who are no longer enlisted, and they still have to pay out the behind. It may not be as much, but they still have to pay out the behind. It really depends on what state you are in the United States. Doesn't even matter if you were enlisted. It matters what healthcare provider you have, what state you were in, what healthcare insurance you were dealing with. It's so much. It's so unfair. I mean, especially veterans. Like, you're joining the military for these perks because I assume you've thought about these perks sometime throughout your life towards the future, and was like, okay, good healthcare benefits, no property taxes, besides little taxes on foods and stuff, then don't buy that food. Like, yeah, you guys have benefits, but the benefits aren't that great. And that is why I will forever say to anybody going to the military, you going to the military? Yes, that's always my anthem. Military? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, was your father in the military? You have some veterans in your family. Is that why you're going? Because I hope that's why. Not because of the benefits you get from it. No. But that's just how it is over here where I live, man. That's how it is over here where I live. And it was amazing. It was fascinating learning about how the healthcare works for all in Australia. So now I can finally say that I'm educated on the healthcare system in Australia. Thank you so much to all my wonderful supporters that actually recommended this video, telling me to react to this, telling me, Strac, you need to react to this video ASAP. Thank you so much. Everybody, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and turn all post notifications on. Feel free to share this video and channel to your friends and family members, whoever you feel may be interested in joining us along on a daily basis to check out some of these educational videos. And please, Feel free to flood my comment section and suggestion link in the description down below if you would like to recommend some more of these phenomenal videos for me to check out on a daily basis. The love and support truly means the world to me, and I don't take any single one of you for granted, man. Pointing is kind of rude. I'm sorry to do that. I'm sorry to point at you. Every single one of you. That's more polite. That's more polite. With the palm. Everyone stay safe, enjoy the weather, and I will catch you all in the next reaction video.